So I just bought a new truck and the dealer hasn't had a chance to detail it yet, and so they asked me if I wanted a loaner car, and I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And then they're like, all right, well, what do you want? How about a red Camaro? It's like, sure, why not? So here is my rental car for the day. It's a 2013 Chevy Camaro. It's got the 6-cylinder engine. It's in beautiful condition. You got red with the black wheels. Now the Chevy Camaro, I believe it first came out in 2009 with this new body style, and they've updated it since then. But this is obviously kind of a retro retake of the Camaro from the 60s. And they've maintained a lot of those retro design cues on the new model. This particular vehicle is listed for just under $25,000, and it's got 39,000 miles. So it's really a lot of car for the money. This particular model's got some custom wheels on there. They look a lot like the old mags that you would have seen on many of the Camaros from the 60s. So pretty nice wheel choice for this vehicle if you want to maintain that retro look. Now the Camaro comes available in a number of different engine variations. The newer Camaros, you can get them with a 6-cylinder, an 8-cylinder, or an 8-cylinder that is also supercharged. I believe it's supercharged. When they first came out, you just had your option between the 6-cylinder and the 8-cylinder. Now I have been really impressed with the sound and acceleration with this Camaro for being a 6-cylinder. Really, when it's idling, when you turn it on, it sounds like a 6, but when you push into the throttle, it sounds a lot like an 8-cylinder. It's got a sunroof on it, so you know, even though it's a retake of the retro vehicle, obviously has all the new vehicle features. Now inside the car, you'll see that they've got a lot of those same design cues from the 60s Camaros. A lot of features. They got the gauges, look a little bit like from the 60s. Some of the dials. I personally am not a fan of the interior of the Camaro. I think they did a really good job on the exterior, but I think on the inside that they really didn't make up their mind between doing kind of a modern design theme versus the 60s retro theme. I've got a 2011 Chevy Volt. It's got the exact same steering wheel. I would expect if you're going with a retro theme, steering wheel should match that. And I know that the earlier Camaros did have that style, but again, it just doesn't make sense to have the same wheel you've got in a Chevy Volt with all of the 60s design cues. So yeah, you've got those dials. Some of these buttons down here, I think they look really cheap. They're very plasticky, just kind of a odd configuration, and then having the navigation screen right in the middle, it just doesn't really blend in real well. This is fitted with an automatic, so not necessarily as much fun, but easy to drive, so you know, works for anybody. The Camaro does have a rear seat, so there is space to get passengers in there, although they would need to be pretty small and comfortable with minimal legroom, because it is a pretty tight fit back there. Now another thing that I'm not crazy about in this car is the lack of an intuitive infotainment system. So I haven't played with it a whole lot, but I was trying to figure out how to go through the radio, and it's a little tricky. So you're on 102.9 right now. Let's say we wanted to go to 104.1. So you can either scroll like this, and you can scroll up to 104.1, which works because it's a pretty close station. But let's say we want to go to 90.5. Okay, so I can either scroll all the way down to 90.5, or you know, you would hope that there's a list of menu or channel options. So let's say we go to menu. You could assume maybe that'd be the way to get to it. Then you've got to press FM station list. Now it's got to update the list. Waiting. I mean, it's absurd. What other car is this complicated? Why does it not just have a normal list of radio stations? I don't understand that. And obviously, if it was your own vehicle, you could go into your favorites list and you could put in your favorite channels, and this wouldn't be a problem. But still, I mean, if you go to another city or something and you want to scan through the stations, this just doesn't make sense to me. We're almost there. Oh, so close. Come on. Come on. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Oh, there we go. Hey, we got our stations list now. So now you could scroll through them like that. But, I mean, really, that's crazy that it takes that much effort to get to it. So then go back to home. We say, okay, FM. Well, now, okay, so it goes to 88.1. I'm not sure why I did that. Go to AM. Okay, so then we go to our FM station list again. Let's see this time if it updates quicker. Okay, that's a little better. But still, if you're traveling through different towns, you got to keep updating that list or what? Just doesn't seem like the most intuitive system, and I'm not crazy about the graphics. Again, it doesn't look modern and it doesn't look retro. And so it's just like this mix of stuff that doesn't really match. So I'm not crazy about that. And kind of what I found throughout the vehicle, if we turn it on real quick. If we go up here, it's kind of the same thing. It took me a while to figure this one out. So you've got your menu, and there's a menu button right here that you can press. So you go through menu. Well, I was like, okay, I want to look at trip and fuel economy information. Well, now it's coming up. Before, when I was doing it, nothing was coming up and I couldn't figure out. So it'd be trip fuel information. Then this was a blank screen. What you had to do to get anything to show up was you had to rotate through this. And that's how you scroll through these different options. So to me, that just wasn't that intuitive. Not used to seeing that on one of these knobs either. Typically, most cars, it seems like they've got somewhere in this location of the vehicle where you can adjust those features. Not a big deal, but you know, again, it'd be kind of nice if it was a little more intuitive. So when I first drove this car, I actually wasn't sure if it was an 8-cylinder or 6-cylinder. I was pretty sure it was a 6-cylinder, but then when I started to gun it, it really became a little bit harder to try to tell whether it was a 6 or 8 because the sound of the car is fantastic. Just lay into the gas and give you a little idea of how this car sounds. It's got a really nice pickup and really nice exhaust note to it. Really throaty, kind of a deep sound. Not something that you're used to in most 6-cylinder engines. I've got an Audi Q5 with a 3-liter supercharged engine, and obviously, you know, being German engineering, it's a very different style of 6-cylinder. But you know, it's a really quick car, but it doesn't have that deep throaty sound that you get with this. And you know, I haven't driven a 6-cylinder that has that kind of a sound before. Typically, I've found that that's only in something that's 8 cylinders or greater. As far as the rest of the drive, it's a very comfortable car. Seats are really good. You've got nice support, very comfortable, plenty of leg room, headroom. And so it's good in all of those areas. Nice, heavy car. The handling is pretty good, but the steering feel I'm not a fan of. It just seems like there's a little bit of play in the steering. You can kind of see that where, you know, I'm going straight and there's a little bit of play in that. I'm assuming that it's not hydraulic, it's probably electronic steering, and maybe they're just still working that out because it's kind of newer technology, but you know, you don't get the same feel that you expect to get from the road. I mentioned that I have a 2011 Chevy Volt, and I actually think that the steering feel in that car is better than it is in this. I feel like you've got a little bit more connection with the road and you get a little better feedback than you do with this, the steering in this vehicle. But you definitely don't get that exhaust note in the Volt or the nice acceleration. be careful in the Camaro because it is rear-wheel drive. And it's raining right now, so I don't know how slick the roads are, but you gotta be a little bit careful. So I'm gonna get up to a turnaround up here, swing the car around, and then we'll do a little 0 to 60 acceleration, give you a taste of that. All right, so for a 0 to 60 run, let's start out by just doing a little rev. The sound of that. It's interesting, there's a rev limiter on there, so it stops at 3,000. I can't rev any higher than 3,000 when it's in neutral. So we'll go ahead, we'll put it in drive. Once again with the, oh there we go, put it in sport mode. Let's go ahead and do a little 0 to 60 run, see how long that takes us. And there we are. So that was pretty quick. Not a real smooth road surface, so you know, not a real great test necessarily of the true 0 to 60 capabilities of this vehicle, but gives you a little idea what that would take. Again, the sound of the car is awesome, and that's my favorite thing about the Camaro so far, is just when you punch it, the sound when it's accelerating, just so good. Nice deep sound to it. But I mean, in general, the Camaro's a good car. It you know, seems like, you know, with the exception of a few of those things, like the styling of the interior, which I don't really care for, I think the exterior looks really good. I think that the handling's really good, acceleration and then exhaust note are excellent. And then, you know, again, the steering, I'm not crazy about the steering, but if you think about muscle cars from the past, I mean, it's probably better than that. So if you're, you know, looking to relive the good old days, good car for that. So one of the things I really like about this exhaust note on the Camaro is, let's say that we slow down. You don't have to accelerate hard to get that really good exhaust note. It almost seems like it's better if you just kind of accelerate a nice even pace. So you compare that to the 0 to 60 run. And I didn't accelerate as hard, but it still sounded really good. I think it's cool that they designed it that way to where you can just drive normal and you're still going to get to enjoy that without feeling this need to speed or, you know, drive faster than might be appropriate for this, whatever the driving conditions are. And you still get to hear that sound. So I like that a lot. Now, like I said, I'm buying a pickup, and so obviously the Camaro is not really a car that's going to work real well for me. I need something that I can put stuff in the back, that I can, you know, throw my bikes on the top or take down a back road. And so, you know, Camaro's not really an option for me. So that's what's been so fun about driving this car for the last day. If you don't have those same needs, Camaro is a great option if you're looking for something that's got pretty good gas mileage, really reasonable price, and a lot of fun to drive. Great option to consider. If you have any questions about the car, put them in the comments below and I will do my best to try to answer those.